evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our first show of education exchange for the school year 2012-2013. And it's my honor and a privilege to introduce Kate Moreland, the District Community Relation Coordinator in Iowa City Community School District. But before that, I would like to say we are so optimistic about the new year. We have heard great news coming out of your new building from our very enthusiastic and active superintendent, Dr. Steve Marley. In the meantime, I would like to say that our show is happy to have John Karoff back, healthy and so active as he has always been. So joining John Karoff, Mike Peterson, and me tonight is a couple of very important people from PATV that's very supportive of our show. And this is the legendary Tim Tack, as well as Emily Ashenfelter. When I said legendary, I mean it, because you know, I was so little when Tim started working here. I'm just kidding. Kate Moreland, your job is a very significant, important, let us say, new role in our district. It was not there before. Some sort of community relations under the big title of public communications. I was doing a little bit of it as an amateur friend of Lynn Pluggy. So I talk to the papers, or I write, or he may ask me sometime to shed some light or correct something, you know. As a matter of fact, Feldman was doing a lot of it too. Mm-hmm. So it was a kind of different role than now, that it is concentrated in your office, where you kind of coordinate all this. So tell me, tell the audience, and look at the camera and tell the audience, what are you exactly doing? Let us imagine one day of activity. Okay. What do you do?
Well, day to day, my job is really to try to connect with the community and be kind of a touch point for people who are looking to connect with the schools. Some days that's the media, if there's some interesting story going on or event, and I will get them then connected to the right person so that they can get the right information. Other days it's community organizations or the university, or just a citizen who's looking to do something in the school district. So I field a lot of those calls that come in. And then on the other side of the coin, I am pushing information out in a variety of ways. As you know, with 25 schools, there's a lot going on day to day. Some days, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. We have very active, you know, students. We're very, you know, successful academically, athletically, and so there's always a lot of information. And so we've been expanding the different mediums that we're using to communicate with the public and try to get as much news out there as we can.
And do you love your job, or?
I do. Most days I do. You know, when I have kids in the district, I think education is the key to the future for all of us, and so I think it's a really important issue. And so most days I feel like I'm working on behalf of my own kids as well as all of our kids in the district. And so if I can be a little piece of sharing the news that's happening and helping us improve and be better at serving our kids and preparing our kids for the future, then I'm happy to be a small part of that.
And how did you prepare yourself for this role? Give the audience something about your background. How did you get ready for that?
Well, I have a degree in psychology and business, then went on to law school and was a practicing attorney for about 10 years. And during my practice, I served primarily kids, juvenile cases. I did a lot of representing of kids in divorces, and so kids were a focus of my law practice. And I also taught at the college level and at the law school while I practiced. So education, again, was another part of what I was doing. And so this job really combines my interest in education and helping youth kind of at the same time. So.
And we have a lot of legal issues now related to education, and
Yes.
this will push me to maybe change the the agreement between us a little bit to involve some issues that are hot issues now in many districts, you know, like, for instance, like the Bible in schools. What do you think our future here with an issue like that?
Well, I mean, there's definitely, I think there's kind of, those issues are cyclical. They come back up, and there's, you know, new cases that, you know, the Supreme Court looks at from time to time that redefines that. And, you know, we certainly always have the public element of our school, and even in our community where it's so diverse, and our student population, you know, we have kids from so many different faith backgrounds as well as cultural backgrounds, and so honoring that in a way that we're not, you know, and that's kind of the basis for the decision to not choose one religion over another in schools is, you know, to honor that.
To open for more diversity and diversification and multiculturalism and so
Right.
forth. Great. Now, Kate, we are proceeding now from a year of transition into a year of kind of settlement. We are now trying to get our agenda together, and we opened this year with a new school, right?
We did, Moreland Elementary.
And how many kids go to that school?
I believe there are about 380 at this time, and the opening went very smoothly. We have a dedication coming up on September 20th, and actually some family members from Borlaug, Dr. Borlaug will be present at the dedication.
Oh, himself?
His family. His
Okay,
daughter,
I
yes.
thought, that would be something spectacular, you know. Because I remember at Weber School sitting next to Erwin Weber. And that was a kind of remarkable memory. Since Steve Marley took over as superintendent of the district, he has been trying to define our goals and the objectives clearly. And then I think you, as a group leaders in education, came up with a motto that says, one district, one community, one plan, right?
Yes.
After you came up with the first one that says student focused education, right?
Yes. Child-centered, future-focused.
Or child-centered. Well, you know, we live in Iowa City. I don't know if, to me, try to find a common, united action by everybody is a challenge in Iowa City. I mean, we're a community that's full of discourse, and we like to argue and differ and so forth. It doesn't mean that we are not united. But sometimes when it comes to sensitive issues like education, economy, jobs, and all that, people are pretty polarized along either the political side or the philosophical, social side.
Right.
So how you're going to attain that?
Well, I think allowing the community to be part of the conversation is very important, and we are launching a new community engagement website.
It's a piece of news here.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, engageiowacitischools.org. And that site will be an interactive platform for folks to come on and give us ideas on different issues. They won't all be.
Can you repeat the title again?
Sure, engageiowacitischools.org.
Okay.
And it will allow, not everyone can come to a community or a public meeting. Not all community members can attend those important meetings. And so there will be hot topics on there. There will be, simpler topics where we'll be asking for input or ideas. And so it's kind of an efficient way, I think, to try to garner more input from a wider demographic in the community, because we all care about our kids, and we're kind of focused on where our kids are and what our school is. And so I think the challenge is to bring us together around these big issues and say, we all have an interest in success everywhere. It's not going to be helpful if we just focus on one piece of the puzzle, and to say there's going to be success here, we're going to move forward on this, but we won't look at this. I think we have to look at things in its entirety, and we have to say, if we want our community to continue to be a leader in education in Iowa, and if we want to be looked upon as progressive as far as moving the needle on preparing kids for college and for the workforce, we have to be willing to address the facility needs and the education needs throughout the district.
And this will lead me to ask you about this whole plan that now you are putting together to, let us say, computerize our schools and made it really on the cutting edge of technology. I think you mentioned to me when we were doing our production meeting about some schools that are going to be selected for that, or how are you going to proceed with that?
Well, the district has been working over the last year to increase the number of 21st century classroom tools. We want all of our classrooms to have a smart board, a projector, and a document camera. That sets a classroom up for 21st century learning tools. And the idea is that we don't want them just in pockets throughout the district. We want them to consistently exist in not just our classrooms for general education, but in the music classroom and the art classroom. There's so many possibilities, multimedia things you can do with that sort of thing. And so we've been working to try to put those in place throughout the district, and also to increase our infrastructure so that we have fiber to support all of that. So when a student moves from school to school, or a teacher moves from school to school or classroom to classroom, they're going to have the same tools there, and they're not missing out one year and getting it the next year. And so over the summer they put in, I think, 144 classrooms. We're almost halfway there, I think, in the district to getting them there, and I think our kids are digital natives, and it's a tool. It's certainly not the answer to everything, but it's definitely a tool that engages kids in learning.
And this, with no doubt, will kind of enforce the idea of teacher-proof curriculum. In California, there is a group of researchers in the education field are trying now to assess the successful technology in classroom versus the one-on-one connection between teacher and student. Well, their promise is, if you have smart board and you have a computer and you have laptop and all this whole spiel of things, you are really getting the teacher away from the desk and from communicating with the kid. And they are trying to assess this versus the old traditional or old-fashioned system where the teacher comes and say, "What is your problem here? Can I help you with this?" So do you plan to assess this experiment on a regular basis so that it will be methodical progress?
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. We certainly don't want technology taking over the classroom. We know, I think, blended learning environments, they say, are really the most effective, because If you think about attention spans and how even we are as adults, being able to change things up and not have everything presented the same way, but in multiple ways. So I think our teachers, we do a lot of professional development around being able to use the tools effectively and sharing curriculum and different lesson ideas. So I think our teachers will really, and we have some of the best teachers there are, will be able to help us evaluate the effectiveness and share that with one another on what works in one mode and maybe what doesn't. So.
Because your background in law, I want to ask you about the merit pay, and is there any possibility that we are going to move in this direction for teachers, because you're talking about staff development and preparation of teachers for the classroom performance and so forth? Is there any plan that you have for that, or?
The district, at this point, the district doesn't necessarily have a plan for that. I know we hear a lot of that
I hope you
talk
won't.
From the state.
I hope you won't.
Yeah, so there's certainly, but we hear, we're feeling some pressure, I think, from the state, and whether they start to require that at some point is a different question.
I know that our governor is trying to promote this idea, which I respect the guy, but I categorically differ with him in this, because if you are teaching at-risk kids, I mean, what kind of evaluation you're going to get? I mean, you're doing your best. You're losing blood and tears and trying to serve as much as you can. You may succeed, you may fail miserably. So it doesn't mean that you have to lose your job.
Right. Some of our best teachers want to teach the kids that need it the most, and so we would lose some of our best teachers if they're just teaching to a test and kids are moving in and out of the district and not. So I think there's a real risk in going there.
And this will beat the idea of good education, because everybody would be teaching for the test in order to get the best results and achievements. Is there anything you want our community to know about the district in the future? Because our title here is we are looking at the future.
Well, I was thinking about, the strides we're making in the technology world, the classrooms being equal learning environments. We want our facilities to also be, equal learning environments. We want kids to feel like they're in an environment that makes them, an environment they want to come to every day, that's comfortable. And so if that's the goal, to also make, those environments, a long-term facility plan that addresses, needs everywhere will require the community to really come together around the issue of education and maybe not choose sides, but see the value in our community embracing those changes throughout the district and not just in certain pockets. Because I think our long-term future will look very bright if we put education at the top of all of our agendas and make it a priority. I think it will go a long way economically in our community, as well as just being a community that people take a lot of pride in. And I think we owe our children that, and so I hope that we can come together in a way that there is some compromise and there is some work towards some common goals.
And of course, we don't have neither the time or the chance now to discuss the future of schools. Maybe in a couple of weeks we are going to discuss this with our superintendent. But I think the community now is I won't say like divided, but there are two main let's say two main ways of dealing with the issue. A lot of people would like to see a new high school. Some people would say, well, save the money and instead of building a new high school, maybe improve and repair the already old one or deteriorating classroom conditions, put air conditioning here and there. And this, of course, this kind of discourse is a healthy one, because eventually it brings the best to the table for the discussion and for making decision.
Yes.
Of course, you realize this is our first show this year, and we are going to bring you some time by the end of the year and say, well, Kate, we're not calling you Mrs. Moreland at the time. We'll say, Kate, here is the situation.
Right.
Here you told us at the beginning of the year, so you have to be getting ready for that.
Okay. There's work to be done. That is for sure.
Yeah. Before I move on, can you tell me something about your family, about your something personal a little bit? I like to have a personal touch to a program like that, instead of this rigidity about policy and rules and regulations and all that.
Well, I have 3 kids. My husband and I. We both went to law school here in Iowa City and ended up staying. And our daughter just started junior high, so I'm just now getting into the secondary world. And then I have 2 boys that are in elementary school, who definitely keep me on my toes. I'm the oldest of 3 girls, so having boys is a whole new world for me. And so I guess something personal would be just always trying to balance your work life and your personal life, and being a mom and working is always a challenge.
Well, it's really fantastic to know that you are part of the administration of the schools and part of the thinkers that are trying to improve our system. And in the meantime, you are a consumer. I mean, you benefit from what you see because you are a parent, and that you have an insider look too. And definitely around the kitchen table, kids talk about their day and what they face and what troubles they have. So you don't really need, you have already eyes in elementary and secondary, and you can make good assessment.
They're very willing to tell me what they think too about things.
And that's important, very important, I think. And I know that our superintendent has kids too in schools, and this makes a big difference, no doubt about that. Do we expect any increase in taxes for education?
I don't know the answer to that.
I want to give some news for our audience.
I know. I mean, I don't have that information for you tonight. I know our business director, who's new and has been on since July 1st when he started. He's going to be, I think, appearing on the show in another month. 3 weeks, yeah. So I think he'll probably be a great person to ask that to when he's on. Well, let us leave this part for him. Yes. Let us keep the fun for you. Yeah, right. Okay. Another thing that I really want to talk about is this idea of elementary schools, more elementary schools. It has been raised somehow, and I have to tell you, some people try to put these 2 things, as an opposing idea. And a secondary school or 3 elementary, it cannot be either or, right? I mean, it can't be. Yeah, because of the financial demands and what we need to prepare for money for these buildings and equipment and supplies and traffic and all that. But in the meantime, I think we have always to be optimistic that we are going to proceed in all directions. It may take time, but we cannot rush and say, well, this is better than this because the community thinks that this is better than this or that's better than that. I think it's a difficult topic now. And it is. I've been asked a lot about my opinion, my personal opinion, and I kind of pause and I said, let me think, because you have to have a prediction of how
this community is going to grow too.
Yes, I mean, I think making data-driven decisions is important. Sometimes we're passionate about things, and so making emotional decisions is not always going to be the wisest. I think we need to also, consider the data, and we know if our elementaries are overcrowding, those kids matriculate up, and that's going to lead to more overcrowding at junior high and then eventually high school. And so it is a concern to not address it in a global way and to just focus on one. And I know the board and I know the superintendent's put forth something that tries to address the issues at all levels. And you're right, may not happen all at once. You have to prioritize within those.
Exactly.
But I think they're all priorities. It's just, what comes first.
Well, Kate, it has been a delight having you tonight.
Thank you.
And I just would like to thank on behalf of everybody here, the district for the job you're doing, as well as appreciate the efforts that you are opening this website now where people can communicate with you and criticize you and so forth, and this will be a wonderful chance for people to express their ideas and in the meantime to be heard.
Yes.
By the board and administration, as well as by teachers and the people who are serving in all capacities, including the custodians, the physical plant, and all these wonderful people that work hard in order to improve our education system. This program is going to be aired on Monday, next Monday at 7 p.m., Saturday 2:30 p.m. On PATV. And on the education channel, your channel, we will be, according to your listing, I know that the channel started to organize now with the board meetings, and usually we follow the board meetings sometime twice a week, sometimes once a week. So we'll be aired a lot. We are on YouTube. Tomorrow we'll be on YouTube, thanks to Tim Tack. I know that he's going to send this tonight to YouTube.
Right.
Again, my appreciation for Tim and Emily. Emily has been a savior of this show. Every time we are in crisis, we call Emily and she say, no problem, calm down. And that's why we keep going. And people, we need you to watch and send us your opinion. And thank you very, very much. And have a wonderful school year.
Thank you,
Kate, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.